Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. You may be wondering why I'm doing a third Bambu Studio Boolean video. In fact, so am I. Turns out that as I was releasing the second explanatory video, Bambu Studio released an update with a new and improved version of the Boolean UI. Except it's not improved at all, and in fact it's pretty horrendous. I cannot understand how this passed any usability testing. It's poorly thought out and buggy and extremely unintuitive. So here I am for the third time, going to go through this and try to make some sense out of this mess and show you how to get around this interface. To showcase the Boolean operations, we're going to make a small box with a lid that should let us use all of the operators in some way. Let's start with the lid. Create a rounded rectangle. We'll make it 40 by 40 by 3. Then we'll make a second one the same way, and we'll make that one 35.6 by 35.6 by 3. This will leave a little bit of tolerance so it clears the box nicely. Then we'll select both of them in our object panel and right-click and merge. Since the largest side is 3 mm high, we move the smaller rectangle to be 3 mm high so that it sits on top of the larger one. We are only able to move it on top if they are merged. Next, we right-click on the smaller rectangle in our panel and center it. Now we have our box lid. To finalize the object, we'll select our assembly and click on the Booleans menu button. We go to the Union tab, select our models, though I think by virtue of them being in the list they are selected. We make sure Keep Original Models is unchecked and click Execute. We now have a single box cover object. Let's rename it so we know what it is in the object panel. Let's move that to the side and begin creating our box bottom. Let's do the same as before, create a rounded rectangle. We'll make this one 40 by 40 by 30. We return back to the main UI and create another rounded rectangle. This one will make 36 by 36 by 40. The height doesn't matter as long as it's the same or greater than the original one. We then center this new box, which will place it in the middle of the other box. We'll use this new box to hollow out the other, so we need to select both of the rectangles and merge them. We'll then move the inner one 2 mm up. That will give us a 2 mm perimeter on all sides. We then select the assembly and go to our Boolean menu. We then go to the Subtraction panel. The UI here is very bad, particularly if you have similarly named objects. The colors here help a slight bit, but not by much. I missed the subtract from, subtract with metaphor. The A-B helps a bit, but we lost the ability to choose the objects from the object list for the Boolean panel. The arrows here are to move an object from one side to the other, and the two arrows exchange the objects. This is not very intuitive, and it would have helped if they had labeled the first panel from and the second panel with. Let's get our objects in the right place now, with the outer box being blue and the inner box green. So from the outer box with the inner box, A and B. For this, I'm going to choose to keep original models. If you notice, when I clicked execute, it swapped objects in the panel. Why? I don't know. Now my outer hollow box is in the with panel and the inner cutout box is in the from panel. What an odd choice to make. Also, whenever you return out of menus, it deselects your objects, which is a big pain. I don't recall if the previous versions did that, but I noticed how much it annoyed me when doing this today. When we move our cutting rectangle, we'll see our hollowed out box. We can get rid of that rectangle now and check out our preview. We'll rename the box and change colors, but before we print, we're going to uncheck the cover and only print the box bottom for now. We still have one more Boolean operator to check out, and I have an idea of how we can do that with our lid here. While the box bottom is printing, we'll work on our cover. Let's move the box out of the way and get our lid to the front. We're going to flip it upside down. We're going to create a little handle for our lid. To do this, we'll create a new cylinder. We'll make it 10 by 10 by 4. Let's make it 3. We'll merge it together with the cover and center everything. Now, I had to split everything before it let me center things again. But after taking care of that, I position the cylinder so it's about halfway up from the lid, and get our Boolean menu up. For this, we're going to use the intersection operation. What this does is whatever area of the objects that are intersecting is broken out into its own object. In this case, the bottom of the cylinder and the lid are intersecting. That means that intersecting area, which in this case is half the cylinder, will be left. So we'll check the Keep Original Models checkbox since we don't want to delete any object. We click Execute and split our model out. Now you can see we have our 3 pieces. Our half moon shape that intersected the cylinder and the cover itself, and the cylinder, which we don't need anymore. Let's rename the half moon to Handle and rotate it 180 degrees so the flat part is on the build plate. We'll center it and merge it with the cover object. We'll move the handle up so that it just penetrates the cover. Let's go back to our Boolean menu and go to the Subtraction tab. So from the cover, we'll subtract with the handle. That will give us a notch. We can later press fit the handle or glue it if we need to. One thing that happened here I should mention is that when I tried to do the subtraction with the half cylinder right after doing the intersection command while it was still grouped together, it didn't work. And I tried a couple times to do it over and over, but still got the same results. What I ended up having to do was ungroup them first, then regroup the 2 parts that I needed. Only then was I able to do the operation successfully. This may be a one-off bug that I encountered. Now that the subtraction is done, we can see the notch that we created when we moved the handle away. We can get rid of our cylinders since we don't need it anymore. And we can split our group up. We'll rename our cover again and flip it once more so that the top surface is on the build plate. With that, we're almost ready to print. We'll change the color on the handle piece, and we need to scale it down a little bit since we need some space between the handle and the notch so that things fit together. We'll bring it down to 2.95 by 9.7. That should give us enough room to squeeze it in. One last preview, and let's get this printed. And here's our final product. We have our little handle here, which should be able to press fit into the lid, and our lid fits nicely into our box. I hope that after these last few minutes, you have a good idea on how to use the new Boolean UI in Bambu Studio. After using myself, honestly, I hope Bambu redoes the UI and I have to do a part 4, because I really dislike this interface. Anyway, if this was helpful, please leave a comment and like the video. As always, if you're not subscribed yet, please do. We're well on our way to 2,000 subs, and it helps me immensely. I got some really fun things in the works, and I need your support. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time on the Custom Corner.